Welcome to the Creation to Cash Flow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to maximize your creativity and help you achieve financial freedom. Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
I'm sad that we're not doing this episode in person.
I know. I honestly loved that. It was so good to have our talking sessions in person, even though we thought it was like 20 minutes long and it was 45 minutes long.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, was that enough? And it was long. It was one of our longest episodes. We also had plans to do probably 4 more podcasts while we were in person, but we were just having a good time and being present. So it didn't happen. And here we are doing episode number 71.
71. That's crazy.
Yes, we're 71 episodes in, and this is our first AYQ episode where we answer your questions, you being the people, the amazing listeners that we have. So happy that you guys have been going to creationtocashflow.com and leaving us those voice memos because now we have a bunch of episodes that we can make specific to you guys and the things that you want to hear us talk about or the problems you have or whatever you want to say. We can make episodes for you. So this is our first AYQ episode. You'll see it in the title when we're doing one of those answer your question episodes. And the question for today is essentially around focus and intentions. So if we don't have anything else, Michelle, I think I should play it and we'll get everyone on the same page.
Let's do it.
Hi guys, hope you're doing well. It's Art from Brands Meets Creators. I'm one of your team members. You probably know me or not, maybe. I've been messaging Nick about like the situation that I'm in. That I'm always complaining. Maybe not always, but sometimes I'm complaining about like the situation that I'm in. That I don't have customers. That the work is not well. Blah 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 blah. And I'm in a very shitty situation right now in life where I don't know which way should I supposed to go because my content creation is not going well. And it's been like this every 6 months. I'm getting fucking depressed. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to open Spotify and play one of your podcasts, Accountability versus Blame. Like, this is a fucking coincidence. I'm listening to stuff that is literally helping me out right now to sort out my brain. And the stuff that you're talking about is so reliable to my situation, my current situation. To think positive about everything, about your life, set your mind in the vibe that is going to give you like more energy and positive thinking. And this is how I supposed to be thinking, not like, oh, blaming myself, blaming any other people that like shit happens. Just think positive. So thank you so much guys for this podcast. I'm working on pitching brands right now and individual customers while listening to your fucking fabulous podcast. So thank you so much for that.
Amazing.
That made me so happy because not only am I glad that our episodes are helping Art, but Art, now that you submitted that, now you're getting a whole episode to yourself. So, first thing I want to do is just remind you guys you can do this too. Just go to creation2cashflow.com, creation2cashflow.com. Leave us a voice memo just like that. Tell us your name, what you want to hear us talk about, or maybe a problem you're struggling with, and you've got an episode coming your way. Where do we begin, Michelle? This is one that we love talking about, not just because like we feel like, oh, like we're the experts on it, but I love talking about some of the things like our topics because we're re-emphasizing them to ourselves and to each other.
Yeah, it's relatable for sure.
Yeah. I think to begin, I want to just commend Art and tell him that I'm super proud of him for even taking the time to do that. Because sometimes when you hear that thing and you're called out on maybe the fact that like you've been putting the blame on your circumstances or you were stuck in a bit of a victim mindset, there's 2 reactions. The initial reaction is fear, frustration, anger. And the other reaction is an awakening. And Art had an awakening. And maybe he was a little frustrated at first. Who knows, right? Maybe he first heard and he was like, oh, that's kind of pisses me off a little bit because my situation is different. And that's what everyone says. They think that their situation is different and it warrants their negativity or their complaints. But no matter what it is, where are you going to have more success? If you shift to a mindset of positivity and abundance that's coming your way, or if you're stuck in that negative mindset, complaining things aren't going your way. It's, of course, the positivity.
Of course, naturally. I mean, of course, that's the answer. I was gonna say the same thing, which I'm not surprised. I think meeting you in person like made us even more aligned, which is amazing. But Art, like the thing is, you wanting to do something about your situation is always going to help you through this situation. And I want to commend you as well because that's amazing. I know you come to our Q&As with Brands Meet Creators, so I definitely know who you are. I'm sure a lot of people listening know who you are as well. And I'm proud of you for feeling a certain type of way and then deciding to put on the podcast. Because I know times whenever I'm feeling a type of way and I want to put on like true crime or like something to get my head out of my situation instead of trying to get through it. So I'm proud of you. And if you're listening to this episode, I'm proud of you too, because you are putting yourself in a position to learn and grow and succeed. And you are our people.
I love that. I love that so much. Let's talk about the lack of opportunity, because I feel like we should give everyone some context on why Art feels like there's not a lot of opportunity and how he can really shift his mindset specific to his situation, because that's the benefit to leaving us these voice memos. Instead of just general advice that we're trying to apply to everyone, we can really be specific. So Art lives in the UK. He's trying to be, I mean, he is, but he's trying to become a bigger, more well known, more financially stable content creator that works with brands and advertises their products or earns commissions when he helps make them sales and gets paid to create ads and all the things that come with that. But he lives in the UK. So he's not really feeling the abundance because in the United States, there's a lot more of this happening. There's a lot more marketing budget going towards creators. And he lives in the UK. So there truly is a lot less opportunity because of where he lives and because a lot of US brands can't ship the products to him. And because Art lives in the UK, so he has an accent. And there truly are a lot of things that make his circumstance more difficult than the average person's. So important to address that at first, just so we can see where does like that scarcity or that victim mentality come from? It's often justified.
Hmm.
And it's definitely justified here. There's less opportunity for Art than there is for other people that are trying to do this.
Yeah. Well, if you're comparing yourself to other people in the US, which is not your situation, so you really can't compare.
Exactly. And there's two way, like, is the glass half full or is it half empty? I always tell Art, your glass is half empty with that attitude, but you should be looking at it like it's half full, because pretty soon the UK is going to catch up to the marketing tactics that are being used in the US. And you're either going to be a pioneer, one of the first people that's been practicing this and is ready, or you're going to have quit because it was difficult given your circumstances. And now, Art is no quitter. I know that for sure. That's one thing I know about him. But he's starting to see that the fact that it's not being done over there is actually a massive opportunity, because no matter what it is, if you're trying to bring a solution to people that are having a problem, the fact that people are not aware of that solution, that's not a bad thing. That is ideal.
Yeah, you get to pave the way. Like you, that's what I thought of immediately was like, he is like ahead of everything. So really, he's going to be the pioneer of it all.
And there is so much opportunity in that. Like, I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's almost like I'm trying to picture like two oil wells, like where you're like digging for oil, and like maybe in the US, like they found a spot and they already struck oil and there's oil coming up everywhere. And all the people are just trying to get like a cup. They're trying to get like a cup of oil because it's spilling out everywhere. But like in the UK, Art has a chance to be the person that builds the oil well.
Mm.
And then when he taps into it and there's oil coming out everywhere and he's getting it by the barrel, but he that's going to take more effort and more work. He's got to build this oil well. When he sees in the US, people are standing there with their cups and they're like, I got a cup of oil. And someone else is like, I got two. It's not going to be easy, but Art could be the one in a few months or even a year or two. And he could be like, I have barrels and barrels and barrels of this stuff. I've got so much of it, I don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah, and Art is putting himself around people that are doing this so he can take his knowledge and experience to these UK companies, to these brands, and know how to build the barrel or whatever it's called, the oil rig. Whatever he's building, he's building it with knowledge from people who have previously built it and paved the way. And I think it's such a blessing too because honestly, the creator economy, we shape it. Like we as creators shape what that looks like, just like influencers in the past before they got less big. They were shaping that economy and like really like the vibe and in a very broken down term, the vibe. So art gets to shape that too and the expectations and what works and like learn from everyone else and then become an expert in that field in that area. And it's so cool that he's yeah like going through this right now, but he's going through this right now so he can show others and like really be successful in the future no matter how long it takes.
And this is a really big topic in the book that we have both been reading, The Saint, the Surfer, and the CEO. It's by the same guy who wrote the 5 a.m. Club. So if you're a longtime listener, you know that apparently me and Michelle are just massive Robin Sharma fans, but his
Yes.
books are so good. And there's a topic in there that pretty much hits this on the head. And it's that things are happening, the things that are happening for you. They're not happening to you. And it's so beautiful to see that our other episode has helped Art see that, because I mean shit happens to all of us, but it is meant to make you who you're supposed to become. It is not to punish you. And if you get stuck, if you think that you're being punished, you will be punished. And life will continue to kick you while you're down. But if you're like, these terrible things or difficult things or projects that I'm struggling with, if you can see that they're happening for you to make you into the version of yourself that you're supposed to become, that's when life suddenly throws the abundance at you that you've been trying to manifest.
Yes, exactly. And I love that art sent this in because we can actually take a real life example because this is happening for him right now to be the pioneer. Like, and that is a perspective that art has to decide on. Like, we're not told what perspective to have. We are given options. We have free will, which is great if you choose the right option, if you choose the one that's best for you. Like, we've said it so many times, we are meant to thrive. We are meant to be our best self, be the best version of ourselves, with which is what Nick and I really are passionate about, helping people come to, like learning what that is for them and helping them find that for themselves. And art, that's you right now. You are becoming that. And I know it doesn't feel great right now, but we talk about how it's not always going to feel great, but showing up, not giving up, you will reach that. You will become who you're meant to become. And these things are all lessons and there for a reason.
Yeah, it's so true. And one of the things I'm most proud of is that he took accountability for it. That is really, really hard. A creator we were working with the other day had a sort of similar situation where it was like, look, you could either take accountability for this and correct it, or you can just be stuck. And I'll break that down. So the creator working with a brand very similar to how Art is trying to do, and the creator is supposed to be paid to make videos for the brand, and the timeline that the creator is supposed to share those videos was previously agreed upon. So let's just make it simple: 30 days. The creator is going to make the videos for the brand, and the brand's allowed to use them for 30 days. Simple. But at the last minute, the brand was like, hey, and just want to be sure, like, this is fine, like, we want it to be clear that we're going to use those videos like forever, like we're going to own the rights to them. And the creator was like, wait a minute, no, That's not how it's going to go. And now you've got this moment of conflict, and the creator reacted a little bit sour to the brand, even though like this is not the creator's fault. The creator was very clear about this is how this deal and contract should look. And it's the brand that decided to try and change things at the last minute and almost like pull a fast one on the creator. But in those situations, you will come out the winner if you take the high road and you take accountability, even if it wasn't your fault. Like, it's not Art's fault that this kind of relationship with creators and brands is not super common in the UK. It's not his fault, but he's taking accountability for it, and that's what's going to set him on the path to actually succeeding. While this other example, the creator that was having the contract issue, I'm glad that we talked to her first because she almost sent a sort of angry video breaking down, like, hey, y'all are not about to do this to me. Like, that's not fair. So I'm 4Xing my price because y'all are not about to do this to me. And we talked to that creator and we were like, you can't react that way. Like, we know they did you wrong here, but you have to take accountability for it because this is a growth moment for you. You are not the victim, like, oh, why did this happen to me? It's like, no, why did this happen for me? Is it so that every time you communicate with brands moving forward, that it's cleaner and more clear and you respect your boundaries more? Or what is the reason? You have to find that underlying reason of why did this happen for me, not why did this happen to me? And we stopped her before she sent this video, a little bit angry that 1000% would have blown the deal.
Yeah.
She would have gotten paid nothing because the brand would have been like, if that's how you're going to act, we don't even want to work with you in the first place.
Yeah, I'm proud of her for even bringing it to our call and letting us see it and asking for our feedback. And then you having to be the person that's like, listen, that came off a little negative. Let's reframe it. Because at the end of the day, your professionalism is important. And brands want to work with people that don't have that victim mentality, but know what they're talking about too. And she definitely does. She definitely was. I mean, her feelings are so validated too. The anger she felt, we all feel anger, we all feel these things, but we need to take a beat to like not let it be something that affects us in a way to where we then react in a way that is not self-serving or that is not going to get you what you truly want in the end, you know? And so I think it was such a good thing that she brought it to the call and even asked for feedback because so many people would just send it and like be like, I'm in the right, this brand's crazy, like whatever. So I definitely agree with the fact that taking accountability is good. And also, what is that? Oh, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. That is life changing, and that's what Art is doing, is knowing that he's in this specific mindset and that he knows that it's not going to get him the goal and the outcome that he desires, so he's trying to make changes to fix that, which is incredible. Like, it doesn't always need to be you need to know exactly what you're supposed to be doing and do it and do everything perfectly. We're not perfect. We're all human and we all learn by not being perfect and making mistakes and failing and growing. And I think that it's just like you don't need to know all the answers. You just need to know what's best right now. What is it that I should be doing right now? And let me take that step. Let me put on that podcast. Let me ask for advice.
Yeah, it's seriously so true. That was a really good breakdown there. And in both of these scenarios, I'm very proud of both individuals for truly coming to terms with the fact that, like, look, you could be the victim and you'll get nothing. You'll blow the deal, or you'll never be the creator you want to be, or you can do the hard thing and take accountability for it. Art's taking accountability, and he's like, you know what? I got to work on my outreach to brands and I got to work on educating them on what this is and how I can help them and why this is going to be the big thing in 5 or 10 years. And the other creator with the contract, she's taking accountability. What we recommended for her was like, you need to re-record that video and you need to smile and you need to be excited and you need to break down to them like, hey, I value myself too much, and I can't let you have this video forever. But that's a benefit to you because I would have to raise my rates, and I want to make this video for you as cheap as possible. And I want to make multiple videos for you. And once we see what the clear winners are, then I'd be happy to sell them to you. And we'll find a nice, healthy price where I'm not robbing you, but I'm getting paid what I'm worth, and you're going to be pleased too.
Yeah.
That's taking accountability instead of reacting harshly and being pissed and blowing the deal completely.
Right, which is something we all have to learn. I think that we all become defensive. We all have defenses to protect ourselves, and we want to cast the blame. I think we are taught from a young age to do that so that we don't get in trouble or so that we're not blamed. But that's what leaders do is they take accountability. They don't cast blame. They are not victims. We are not victims. And I think it's important that you're asking yourself when something does trigger you or make you angry, what can you learn from this? What is it that is in you that you are seeing you need to work on? Because these are all little opportunities to figure out where our weaknesses are so we can, I mean, in the book that we're reading, which by the way, everybody please go read it. Even if you just want to listen to the audiobook, it's so good because they have different characters and he does the different voices, which is actually really good. I listened to it on my 2 hour car ride home and it was amazing. But now I'm reading the physical book. Anyway, back to the book. So all of these things are like mirrors. Like each situation that you are in is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. I think we've talked about that so many times where it's like if somebody's being just so rude or they're talking very negatively towards you, it's just because they're seeing something in you they see in themselves and they are projecting that onto you. And so think of a situation like this where you're like, oh, maybe this, like for art, for example, not seeing as many collaboration opportunities, it's like there's a scarcity in him. Maybe it doesn't have to do with content creation, maybe it's something else, and that's something he can improve on. That's something that he can notice and then work on. And I think that these little things that we see, the anger, whatever it is, like it's all an opportunity for growth and for honestly just getting better, getting to become that best self.
Yeah, it's so true. Everything is a lesson, and it's all a chance for inner work, but only if you're awakened to that. So many people I know, they're not awakened to that. So when something bad happens to them, they just complain. And it's okay. I mean, if something bad happens to you, like you said, it's human nature to complain about it. But what are you going to do after? Like after you put your emotions aside and you're like, all right, this was terrible. Like for example, you get a flat tire while you're driving. It's okay to be pissed about that. I don't expect you to be like, yes, flat tire. I'm on the way to something important and now I can't get there. No, that's not actually exciting and that's not how you're going to feel. You're going to be pissed and you're allowed to be pissed. But what do you do next? How do you react next?
Yeah. Honestly, that's everything. And I'm laughing because I'm like, gosh, I remember back in the day, there was like a couple years that I was just not in a good mindset and I would get angry. I would let it affect my day. And it was just like almost like those people that say bad luck, like they just have bad luck or whatever. That's not, nobody just has bad luck. That's not a thing. That is a choice that we're making. And one little thing can happen, like a flat tire, and you can see the perspective of maybe it was going to help me prevent a potential wreck, like Nick had in our previous episode about how the gas attendant in New Jersey, it didn't click. He was behind on going to play golf, but he had this thought like, oh my gosh, maybe I was going to potentially get T-boned when I was leaving. And so there's a reason I stayed behind. So it's just choosing to see a different perspective other than what we are almost taught to see, which is see what's going on, complain about it, talk about the bad thing. It's so easy to talk about negative things happening, so much easier than people like going around being like, everything's great, because that annoys so many people. And there's not much to talk about when things are going great. You're like, yeah, well, I don't have anything to complain about. And so just being different than what we're kind of conditioned to be is it's so powerful and it's possible to change your mindset if you're not currently in that mindset because me and Nick have both done it.
I used to be such a complainer. It was not good or healthy at all. Um, you can change. You can change. First, you got to have that awakening to the fact that you act like a victim, and then you can take accountability for it. And it happens in that order. And then you start seeing everything is a lesson. Every single bad thing that happens to you is a lesson. So are the good things that happen to you. They're lessons. Don't just let the good things roll off your back either. You got to take a moment and be like, what was the lesson in that good thing? What was I supposed to be taught by that? Was it hard for you to not laugh when you were talking about the gas station attendant, considering you haven't seen one?
Yeah, yes, it was.
We'll have to do one episode like at a gas station in New Jersey, or I think one of our other ones. Well, I won't spoil it, but apparently there's another state where there's gas station attendants too.
There is Oregon.
Yes, I think it'll be in our next AYQ episode.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe we'll do one episode at a gas station. As I'm saying that, it doesn't sound that exciting, but we'll record Michelle's reaction because it's pretty nice not having to get out of the car.
I'm excited to experience that. I need to get a gas vehicle, but we can make
Yeah,
that happen.
yeah, we'll bring mine.
Perfect.
So what we can discuss now are some ways that art or anyone listening can do that inner work. First things first, do it in the morning and set the tone for the day so that you're awakened to the fact that everything that happens to you today is going to be a lesson. Is it this happened to me before. So there's lessons in every silly little thing. I was washing a glass before in my sink, got it all clean, a bunch of dirty dishes in the sink, and then I dropped it and it fell back in all the dirty stuff and I had to wash it again. Such a silly little thing, but to me, there's a lesson in that. The lesson was I was rushing. I was rushing through a task. I wasn't being present and I need to slow down. And then I was like, why was I rushing through it? Probably because I didn't feel like doing dishes. And I was like, but what's the lesson in that? Well, the lesson is probably that there's a lot of things I'm not going to feel like doing today that I'm going to have to do and that are going to be important and I can't just rush through them. I need to take some time and I need to be present and I need to do the things that are going to be hard. But if you're not awakened to the lesson in every single thing, you're going to drop that glass in the dirty dishes and have to wash it again and you're going to scream fuck. You're going to be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what the fuck?" And you're going to be pissed over nothing. It's not
Yeah.
even something to truly be mad about. It's not that big a deal. And I'm probably also going to get some lessons today that are much harder, a little bit more like, oh, that's a bit more of like a kick in the ass than dropping the glass.
Wow. That is so good. I think it's also a powerful exercise when something, anything as small as that goes on, ask yourself, what can you learn from this? That is number one. I mean, I think Nick and I are at a point where we both subconsciously are like seeing that in every little thing. But in order to learn that in every little thing, you have to be intentional to ask yourself, okay, I'm late because my gas station attendant person didn't click my gas pump thing. What can I see this as? Like, what opportunities can come from this? What can I learn from this? And you start to get in this exercise and muscle building of choosing to see the lesson in everything. And it might feel very unnatural, but it's so powerful.
It's so powerful. So once everyone is awakened to it, like once you know, okay, I'm ready. It's the morning and I want to set myself up to be awakened today to the fact that everything that happens to me is a lesson. The lack of opportunity, the dish you drop, the gas station attendant not clicking the thing, there's going to be a lesson in all of it. Then you have to decide. This is something we talked about in person during my workshop. We all just wake up and we go right to our to-do list. And we go right to here's the stuff I got to do. And you will not be a present, grateful, abundant person if you just wake up and start doing things on your to-do list because you'll never beat the to-do list. You'll never even come close It is going to be a never ending thing. It's this fire that never goes out. So during this workshop, we had probably 30 people in the room. And I was like, raise your hand if you make to do lists. And every hand went up. And then I was like, raise your hand if you make to be lists. And not a single hand went up. And I was like, well, let's break down what a to be list is. Actually, your hand went
I
up.
was like,
You're right.
I don't count in this scenario. My hand
You're
went
right.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't count in this scenario, I suppose, because you weren't part of my example. But Michelle makes a to be list, of course, because we're trying our best. We're not perfect people, but we're trying our best to be present and see the lessons in everything. So a to be list, what is it? How do you make one? It's not a real thing. So this is just how I recommend doing it. You can make your modifications. You could do more, you could do less. But what I recommend it to people is to write down using a pen and paper. Don't type it in your phone. Don't do it in your head. Like a caveman, I want you to really write it down and write down who you're going to be today. So the way that it looks, it's not I want to be blank. It's I am going to be blank today. And you do that 5 times. So the morning of my workshop on my to be list was I am going to be a fantastic and confident speaker today. I am going to be present and ready to help everyone I meet today. And 3 more times, I am going to be blank today. I am going to be blank today. I am going to be blank today. And that is your to be list. And when you actually write it down, you know, your third grade history teacher that told you remember things more by writing it down, there was a lesson in that. They were not saying that because you're the victim and now you have a homework assignment. There was a real lesson in that. And in third grade, you probably weren't awakened to that.
You weren't. You were angry at them for being there.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't writing down shit. I was like, "Yeah, you think I'm really gonna write down all of that?" It's like, "No, I got it up here."
Oh my gosh.
But I'm awakened now to the fact that there was real lessons in that, and they were trying to just make good habits. Right? It had nothing to do with the War of 1812.
Oh God.
What a war, by the way.
It just triggered me like
Uh,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
but anyway, that's how you make the to be list, and what that does is it grounds you in who you actually want to show up as today. Because if you just wake up and get right to your to do list, you're going to show up as probably impatient and frustrated. That's just going to be your default mindset because that's kind of how we're set up as humans when we have a lot of stuff to do that are out of alignment with us. Like, I don't know, I think humans are meant to work in groups and spend time in the sun and eat good food and laugh and sit around a fire at night. I get a feeling that's probably not what your day is going to look like when you grab your to do list in the morning. So you have to be intentional and take time and say, here's who I'm going to be today, and set yourself up to be awakened to all of the abundance around you.
Yeah. One thing you said too during that session that was so good, it was basically, I don't remember the exact verbiage, but you were basically saying like, you showing up and being the person you want to be will make your to-do list actually happen, and you will be way more effective whenever you start your day with who you will be versus what will you do. Do you remember exactly what you said? It was so good. I know it's recorded somewhere, but I was just like jaw on the floor, like, wow, that's such a good point. Like, it's not about your output all the time. Like, sometimes you really need to like get yourself right, and then you can show up better and probably get things done faster without rushing, but your mind is present and where you need to be.
The way you worded it was super spot on. I said it almost exactly the same.
Wow.
So great job, and I'm glad that you enjoyed that moment. But it's so true. It is so true that if you make that to be list and you're rooted in who you're going to be today, it gives you power over your to do list because you know that you're probably not going to get everything on the to do list done. Unless you're the kind of person that, like, you have 4 big tasks on your to do list. But I make to do lists and I'm like, I know I'm not going to get to all of this today or even tomorrow. And instead of guilting myself over that, I can be rooted in who I want to be. So if who I want to be today is I want to be present, today. I'm going to be present today. I'm going to I'm going to spend time with my friends. I'm going to help someone else. And maybe that's what my to-be list looks like for that day. Then I don't have to guilt myself if I don't do everything on the to-do list. It gives me power over it and gives me the option to sometimes say no to a task on the to-do list that's not in alignment with who I'm going to be today.
Yeah. Wow. And that's a good question to ask. Like your to-do list, um, are you wanting, like, are they in alignment with who you are wanting to be? That's such a good question to ask. Because sometimes I'm like, I am going to be a good leader today, or I'm going to be creative today. And then my to-do list is a lot of stuff that just isn't in alignment, or a lot of errands and stuff. Like, that's just sometimes those can be pushed off and become like not an A task, but like a B task or a C task, like a delegate task and stuff like that. So, really good point.
And I feel like it's also worth mentioning that one other thing I had people do during this workshop, I had them write down their goal for 2 years from now. And I was like, how many of you think you're going to get there by just doing the things on your to-do list every single day? And not everyone was super convinced. Like some hands were up, some were not super convinced. And I was like, how many of you think you're going to get there if you show up and you read those 5 things? Who am I going to be today? If you show up as that person every day, are you going to be able to achieve those 2 year goals? And I just gave myself chills.
I know I have chills right now. Wow.
It was really powerful being in that room and sharing some of these lessons. But even still, like if you're listening to this episode right now, today, tomorrow, whenever you want to start, just don't let it be something you never get to. Every day, start with who am I going to be in the 5 things that will get you way further and closer to your goals than just doing the things on your to-do list, because this exercise only takes like 10 minutes. It shouldn't take 30 seconds. It is not just like, I'm going to be blank today. I'm going to be blank today. I'm going to be blank today. Sit there and truly let these things marinate and truly decide, like, what characteristic do I have to embody that's really going to get me where I want to go over the next couple of years?
Wow. So powerful.
It was fun sharing that lesson with everyone.
Yeah. I was like supposed to be, I mean, I was creating content around it, but I was also just like so present with your thing. It was so good.
I'm really happy to hear that. It was a lot of fun sharing those lessons and sharing some stage space with you as well. We're definitely going to end up doing more events and bigger things, whether you're a part of Brands Meet Creators or not. There's certainly going to be opportunities to hear me and Michelle and be in the room where we can do some of these lessons, because we can give you guys a lot on this podcast. And I'm glad that you guys love it. And if you love it, hit that 5-star button or give us that rating. But there's going to be a lot more opportunities to download and integrate some of these teachings that me and Michelle love to share with you guys.
Yeah. Stay tuned for all those. We have some things in the works.
We definitely have some things and ideas in the works. Michelle, is there anything else that we need to reemphasize?
Just take accountability and know you're not a victim. Um, it's a lot easier said than done, but a lot of times it's just like I have to remind myself all the time, like, I'm not a victim. Like, something happens, and my initial reaction can be that I am a victim, and I have to tell myself, and it's so silly, but it's like I have to remind myself I'm not a victim. I am powerful. I am worthy. I'm abundant, and I can do hard things, and I'm going to get through this. And it's going to be amazing. And I just have to keep that mindset, especially when things feel like they're not going my way. So just don't underestimate the power of just speaking that over yourself.
Perfectly said. There truly is a lesson in everything, and there's so much beauty in that. So hopefully this episode helped you guys understand and gave you some tools to truly see that, because it's not easy. I promise there's going to be days where you don't make your I am going to be list. Let's just be realistic about that. You're probably not going to do it every single day, but the days that you do, you will notice that you show up better and you're more present and you're happier, and you put up a better fight against the never ending to do list. So that's the way you prove to yourself that this works. And then you start really doing it every day or most days. And if you enjoyed this AYQ Answer Your Question episode, go to creationtocashflow.com, leave us one. Tell us what you're struggling with. Me and Michelle love helping people, and we love speaking directly to the problems or situations you guys find yourselves in. We're not the world's leading experts, but we have a lot of value to share. And sometimes you just need to hear someone else's take on things like this. I share my problems privately with Michelle or other people all the time. And I'm like, oh, I'm struggling with this thing. And I need to hear someone else's take on it. So if you want our take, or you have an episode idea, or you have a guest or anything like that, just go to creationtocashflow.com, send it in. You can hit the little microphone button and record something. And if you love this episode, go check out the YouTube version or the short form clips, which are all under the username Creation to Cashflow. You can find Michelle on Instagram and TikTok at Michelle JH, Michelle with two L's, then four E's, then a J, then an H. And you can find me on everything pretty much except LinkedIn at Get Ahead with Nick. So we love you guys, and thanks for listening.